see what's inside you. The time is now to raise up your voice and sing of His glory. The time is now. And sing of His glory. The time is now. And sing of His glory.
Greetings. Welcome to the Light. My name is Donald Schmid, and the topic of today's show is Don't Give Up. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, and we've been in chaos, confusion, and division for almost 2.5 years, and it's not a lot of fun, and we don't, I was told, don't quit, and don't give up. And I'm telling you, I've been through some stuff, and I just celebrated my 10th anniversary on Staten Island. And as some of you know, I was in a homeless shelter from March of 2011 to July 2nd, 2012. And I said a prayer. I said, God, send me anywhere. Don't send me to Staten Island. Ta-da! Yeah, I had been there. I had lost everything. I was in my basement, and I was on my laptop. It was 1:35 in the morning, and I wrote on my laptop. I wrote a note on my laptop. I said, Lord, I'm ready. I said, Lord, I'm willing. I said, Lord, you're able. I lost my job. I lost my income, and I lost my apartment. I wound up in a homeless shelter in Bushwick called Ready, Willing, and Able, also known as the Doe Fund. And I went there on a Saturday to check it out and everything, and I was bugging out. There was 426 guys there, and I couldn't go there until I went to Bellevue. And I had to I was 56 years old, and I had just gotten my GED from York College in South Jamaica, Queens, on Jamaica Avenue, 170th Street. And God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He'll make a way for you. He'll make a way for me. And there were people from all over the globe that were in this class. Somebody was from Belize. Two people were from Africa. I don't know if one of them was a prince, and now he lives in Africa. But they were having trouble with math, and I was doing a little bit better in math, and I was able to mentor other people and other men, and I didn't know what I didn't know. I thought that I was a slow learner. I was told, you'll never amount to anything. You'll be just like so-and-so and everything. And I was an underachiever. And I turned to alcohol and drugs and gambling and pornography and profanity. And every other word was an expletive out of my mouth. And I didn't even know there was anything wrong with it. I was dazed and confused, and I was in the throes of addiction, and I couldn't stop. And one night I was in the OTB on Cross Bay and Liberty over in Ozone Park, and they were washing the buses down, and I had a beer, or I had a big beer, and I was with my friend, and I went home that night, and I didn't have an urge to have another beer, and that was October 31st, 1992, and on Halloween I'll have 30 years clean and sober. I don't know how that happened. I just I guess I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know, I grew up at the racetrack, and I'd lose my money, and I'd vow never to go. I'd vow never to go back again. And the next day, I had some money, and I was working at the track, and I was dealing. There were a couple of guys who dealt blackjack on the backstretch. I was like 18. It was 1972. And we would play cards, you know, blackjack closest to 21. But the dealer had the edge. And if you got blackjack, you had the choice, if you had enough money, to take the deal. You know, you brought cards with you, one blue deck and red deck. And, you know, like I would deal and I would make money and I would go to the races, and then I would, you know, I was taking care of the horses and feeding them and everything. And I wound up going to Saratoga in 1972. I was making $70 a week. Yes, you heard correctly. I was taking home $57.91. I had a room in the backstretch. Sometimes a friend that had a room, like I stayed there sometimes because I was 18, I wasn't a big fan of the backstretch because the rooms back then weren't that great. You know, so I'd get up very early in the morning to take a shower. And then when I wound up going to the homeless shelter, there was like 10 showers on each floor, 5 on each side, and there was 140 men. So I used to get up there early too because I remembered my experience about wanting to get in and getting out of the shower. But everything happens for a reason and happens for a season. And you may be going through a tough time. You know, a lot of people thought that the pandemic was over. I'm not sure what's going on. People are getting symptoms. They're getting sick, and it turns out that it's not going away as fast as we thought it would, as fast as we hoped it would, you know. But I'm grateful I have a roof over my head, and I get to share my story with you, what it was like, what happened, and what it is like now. You know, from that, I forget what day of the week October 31st was in 1992, but thinking, I don't know what year it was. One year I met a woman. It might have been 92. And we were getting along. It was getting close to Christmas, and we were on a bowling team together, and something happened that was devastating to me. And I wound up, I believe in keeping commitments, and I had joined the team, and I saw it through until May, until it was over, and it was difficult because I thought we were going to be together, and she was with somebody else, and it really bothered me, you know, around the holidays and everything. But there's a saying, this too shall pass, but sometimes it doesn't pass fast enough. And I just, like, things are different today, and God's given me an opportunity to share my experience and my hope. And for me, my hope is an acronym. And the H is for honestly, the O is for offering, the P is for personal, and the E is for experiences. Honestly, offering personal experiences. And I would just keep moving forward, you know, and when we go through something, fear wants to scare us, and a test will appear. And for many years, I had the monies. Woe is me, why me, a nice guy like me. But when God's with you and you're going through the test, you're not going through the test alone. So he took my monies, allowed me to apply the test to my monies. Now I have a testimony to give glory to God for October 31st, 1992. And all the other times when I cried out to God, and I shared on a prior show that I was in my apartment, and it was July 17th, maybe 1999, and I said, God, you made the earth in 6 days. Please fix the serotonin level in my brain. And I didn't have a need for any other prescription drugs. You know, I'm grateful. You know, he took my mess, he made it a message. He took my monies, he made it a testimony. And I'm grateful. Just talking about speaking. You know, I was in a sixth grade at St. Mary Gate of Heaven, and they were having auditions for a student to do the announcements in front of the congregation at church at the different services, you know. And there was another guy, I think there was two guys, and we were in the running to do it. And he was more mature than I was, you know, and maybe my voice squeaked a little or something. But as I grew older, I wanted to do something. I like to speak. You know, well, actually, I didn't like to speak, but then something happened where, as I told my story, it got a little easier to speak. You know, and I was just able to do it. And sometimes our lives are going along without incident, and suddenly someone gets sick, a loved one may be going through a painful loss, or a medical crisis arises. You know, and it happened to me not too long ago. It was February, and I had an appointment with the foot doctor for March, and my foot was swollen. And he squeezed me in. I went to him, and he squeezed me in, and he looked at my foot, and I looked at his face. I knew something was up, and it wasn't good. He says, Donald, I'm going to try to drain it here, but maybe you shouldn't go home. Maybe you should go right to the hospital. So I called Lyft. I went to the hospital. They admitted me. I had a bone infection and an abscess. And as a result of my 8 days in the hospital, the Lord told me, you know, how can you use this to be beneficial to others? And I says, well, I can look at it like an obstacle, or I can look at it like an opportunity. So I chose to look at it as an opportunity. So I was there for 8 days. They're doing all sorts of tests, you know, and they put this PICC line in my arm over here. And I had to take IV antibiotics for 6 weeks, twice a day. And each one was like 3 hours a day. You know, like you did it for 2 hours and dripped and everything. And, you know, thank God that's over. But somebody told me, don't give up. Don't give in. Get out of your way. Your life is no longer your own. And I surrendered to the fact that my way didn't work. And I was in the hospital for 8 days, and I got to give my testimony to between 50 and 60 people. You know, and it was good. I'm not ashamed of where I came from, and I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going to do it. Hopefully I'll do it with dignity and grace and patience and the love of the Lord to that I can overcome anything that comes up. You know, and then a couple of weeks ago, I came home, I had something to eat, and started feeling weird over here. You know, I don't know if I ate too fast. And I went to urgent care, and my blood pressure was like 160, or it was like 150 or something, and they took it again, and they did an EKG, and I wound up going to the emergency room. You know, same perspective. Obstacle, opportunity. I was there for, you see, the medical profession doesn't get enough encouragement. Everybody's mad at the medical profession. And they've been through hell with what's gone through the last 30 months and everything. So I figured that I would go in and I would cheer them up. Now, I had been to Staten Island North before, and I had been to Rumsey before, but I had never been to Staten Island South. So when they asked me where I wanted to go, I says, I'm going to go to South, I'm going to go encourage them. I didn't care what was going on. Well, I mean, I knew there was something going on, but weirdly enough, as soon as I said, I'll go to the hospital, the symptoms went away. There were no symptoms. So they did another EKG. They did a CAT scan. I asked them if I brought my own cat, would it be cheaper? And God gave me a sense of humor. You know, he made me tall and he made me funny, but he gave me his heart, you know? So I'm there. Some of the nurses were having a rough day. Not all the patients were, you know, doing great. And I just, if I could just make them smile for a moment, it was worth it, you know? And then nothing, I followed up with my primary care physician, everything was okay, you know, and I have to go back for like a yearly checkup because my time is up. But basically, I'm in good health, you know, and don't give up and don't give in. And I've had opportunities where, you know, I wasn't, when I auditioned for that role, I didn't get it. And later I would take voiceover lessons, and I got screwed out of the money one time, and then another time, it just didn't work out. I got cards that said like Don Schmid, voiceover artist, and I did cartoons. You know, I do like, you know, Yogi Bear and like, Mr. Ranger's son, a lovely day for having a TV show. And that didn't work out. And I had invested in myself, and I took some voice lessons and everything, and that didn't work out. And then I came to Staten Island on July 2nd, 2012, unbeknownst to what was going to happen. I didn't know anybody on Staten Island. I didn't want to know anybody on Staten Island. I knew they used to have a dump. I didn't want to be here. And I came out of my house. There was a bodega across the street on Port Richmond Avenue, and this guy's next door. He's my neighbor. And he was really nice, you know. He says, welcome to the neighborhood and everything. And I said I was going to go across the street to the bodega, but it closed. He says, you're hungry? I says, yeah. He says, come on, get in the car. I'll take you to get something to eat. And on the corner was a Chinese food place, and put me in a car. He gave me a $20 bill. He says, get whatever you want. And bring me the change. And I did, and that was my welcome to, you know, I got here about 3:05 in the afternoon. 2 days later was going to be 4th of July. This was a Monday. I got out of the shelter, you know, and I've been here ever since. And I went to, I met a guy, and he says, I have a TV show, you know, community service TV show. Would you like to come on and give your testimony? I said, sure. I went on. I was here at, you know, Staten Island Cable TV, community TV. And I did another show. He had me back. He says, you know, you can become a producer, director, host. You know, I says, I I want to be a producer, director, host. He says, in fact, the class is free and it's starting Saturday or something, you know? So just to appease him, I went and I went to a couple of things and I liked it, you know? I like the studio better than I like the taking the camera out into the streets and doing parades or, you know, graduations and stuff and everything. But there were 3 guys in my class, and one of them had to be a director, the other one had to be the cameraman, and the other one was the host, you know? And I was on the thing over there, and I was, you know, pushing the buttons and everything, and we got done. And the show was over, you know, the 10-minute show was over, and I said, that's a wrap. And I took like such great glee. And I've come to really love sharing my story, where I came from on Halloween 1992 to July 8th, 2022, 30 years later, you know, and I'm still standing. You know, yeah, I'm still standing. I can't sing, but I'm grateful, you know, and the same guy that told me about the studio took me to a prayer meeting at International Christian Center at 1501 Richmond Avenue. And I sat in the back, and it was loud, and there was a lot of music and everything. And the next day, I went to the men's breakfast. We have men's breakfast every Saturday morning at 8 to 10. We have a continental breakfast now. And like 20 or 30 guys get together on a Saturday morning, and we share with each other, and we have praise and worship, and somebody tells their story. You know, I mentioned on a prior show that yesterday's history. Tomorrow's a mystery. Today's a gift. That's why they call it the present. You know, when they told me that I couldn't speak in church, and I'd never make it in voiceovers because I had a blue-collar New York accent, God in infinite wisdom chose for me to come to Staten Island, to meet Pastor Julio, to go to the Chinese place, to come to CTV, to go to International Christian Center. I got to go on a missions trip to Kentucky, and we were in Kentucky, and we went to a nursing home, and they were playing like Pokino. It's like bingo with cards, and the cards were huge, so the seniors weren't really in a good mood that day. So I'm helping them, you know, mark their cards to see if they won and everything, and I get a bright idea. I says, hey, you think I could call them the next game? Because when I was in my church, when I was in my school on Wednesday and Mondays and Thursdays, they had bingo. So Wednesday night, we used to set up the bingo and take it down. We got $2.50 to put it up and $2.50 to take it down. So I'm calling the card game, but the people are like listless, you know? So I had to think of something funny to get them smiling. So I said to them, I'd have married my horse, but I couldn't afford no bridal suite. And they started to laugh, you know, and I take the card like ace of hearts, and like I'd wait a few minutes, and I said, listen, the key to bingo is when you get 4 numbers, you say, I'm waiting. That means you need 1 number. You need 5 numbers, you know, across diagonal, or, you know. And then another one is like, hit me, hit me. And then if they said like B12, and they called like B12 a lot, they'd like, shake them up, you know, and that's how the housewives spent some time, you know, when their husbands at work, they would go to bingo, you know, and I learned to pass it on. You know, I was working, I was like 11 or 12 years old, and I was working, I wanted to hang out in the candy store because the guys working there were like 17, 18, 19, they were cool. You know, they worked in the candy store, and my job was to sweep the sidewalk. and to keep the sidewalk clean so they didn't get a ticket from sanitation. And I did it. You know, I'd get malteds or chips or anything. Like malteds were 35 cents, chips were a nickel, you know, and sodas were a dime, egg creams were 15 cents. This was like in the mid-60s. And a bunch of years later, I would get a job as a doorman on 23rd and 24th Street on Lexington Avenue near Baruch College, and I was sweeping the sidewalk. And when I took the job, they told me, we don't take off holidays. I says, why not? It says, because we get double time and a half. I says, oh, I could deal with that. And we're making like $17 an hour, so I figured it out. 17 is 17 is 34. 850 is 42.50. I'm working 7 to 8 hours, making almost $300. And what was my job that day on the holiday? Go outside, sweep the sidewalk, sweep the curb, so we don't get a ticket. And many years prior, I had done it for nothing. So God knows where you're at. Don't give up, don't give in, and do little things to make people's day. A smile, a pat on the back, somebody who's struggling with a shopping cart or something. Can I help you? You know, put yourself out there, and what we do for others, God makes happen for us, you know, and I wouldn't trade places with anybody. You know, I'm blessed, and, you know, somebody's going through something. They lost a loved one in their family, and I get to meet with them tonight to encourage them and support them in their loss, you know. And I get to go back to the old neighborhood where on October 31st, and I don't have any cravings or anything, and I just let it go. I let go and let God. And when I was selfish and self-centered. When I took the focus on me and I put it on others, how many people go to a hospital when they have symptoms to encourage the staff? It's like, field trip, let's go encourage the staff. But I hope one day I meet them in the supermarket or something, because obviously most of them live on Staten Island. Another time, when I was going for a follow-up for the visit, I went to Clove Road over there, and I had to get an x-ray or a sonogram or something. And a woman that just happened to be there, it was her day off, but somebody asked her to come in and to do her shift, and she said yes. So she comes in, and there's like a note on her computer saying, Jesus loves you, or a little booklet or something. And then I come in, I says, hey, how you doing? She says, oh, my name's, blah, blah, blah. And I was supposed to be off today. I says, well, I'm glad you're here. And I told her my testimony. And she says, you know what? You got the show and everything. She says, am I going to be on the show today? I says, no, you're not going to be on the show today, because I want to respect you. But I could tell the story as long as I don't attach a name and a face to it. So maybe she's watching, and she said, yeah, they gave me this thing and everything, and my friend's always telling me, and I go to church in Brooklyn, and then I came and I gave her, the YouTube Into the Light. So no matter what you're going through, just stop and say hello to somebody, and we're blessed to be a blessing. And if you don't know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you can say, Jesus, I believe you died for me. Please come into my heart. You can find it in Romans 10, 9 and 10. But I'm grateful today, and I didn't know what I was going to say 2 hours ago, and we're blessed to be a blessing. And no matter what you're going through, don't give up. Get into a community that does things together. They have meetings you can go to. If you need a bereavement group, you can find that. But don't give up, don't give in. We're blessed to be a blessing. And I thank you for watching Into the Light. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.